Disclaimer, this podcast is not affiliated with, endorsed by, or connected to Alcoholics Anonymous, Al-Anon, or any other 12-step program. Content provided is based solely on personal experiences and information that has been shared with me. The purpose of this podcast is to share insights in the hope that they may be helpful to listeners. I am not in any way a professional in the fields of addiction or recovery, so the opinions expressed are solely my own. For professional advice, for support, information, or help about 12-step programs, please consult with a qualified professional, not me. Attend official program meetings, which are on their official websites. Thanks.
In a world where problems with money, property, and prestige divert us, Tradition 6, Big-shot-ism, illusions of grandiosity, perfectionists failing at perfections. This is the world of Tradition 6.
Yeah, so I was originally going to get my fiance to do that intro because he does a really good job of sounding like, one of those action movie promo guys. So I'm going to take care of business first because I got a TCB here. TCB. So first off, I'd like to thank all who are thus far downloading this beautiful hunk of podcast. Thank you. You know who you all are. TCB2, I'd like to give a big thank you to the 4 new followers on Podbean. You know who you are. My mom always said I gotta be grateful, so I'm very, very, very grateful. I love you deep in my heart. If I had some money, I'd give you each a Cadillac, but I don't. Okay. And I just have to take care of that first because my brain will totally forget to do it at the end and I can just get it out of the way. Sweep it aside. Let's begin with Tradition 6. Tradition 6. An AA group ought never endorse, finance, or lend the AA name to any related facility or outside enterprise, lest problems of money, property, and prestige divert us from our primary purpose. Take out the AA stuff. Any group or individual. Individuality. We're talking about you. We're talking about me. Individuality. Yeah, individuals ought never endorse. Ought never endorse, finance, or lend my name, whatever, right, to any related facility or outside enterprise, lest problems of money, property, and prestige divert me from my primary purpose. What does that all mean? Well, I'll tell you what it all means. I love this first sentence in the 12 and 12 that says, the moment we saw we had an answer for alcoholism, it was reasonable, or so it seemed at the time, for us to feel that we might have the answer to a lot of other things. Oh my Lord, that is me. That is me. The moment I saw that I have the answer, hallelujah, I am here to save you. I am gonna solve your problems. I think that I had the answer to everything. There's an old saying my old sponsor said is the 3 hardest words for anyone to say is not I love you. It's I don't know. I don't like to not know. Even when I blatantly don't know, I will still nod my head agreeing that I know what you're talking about. This was me as a kid. Like, I was really neurospasy. I was in the neurospassiness and a whole other host of things. And I just remember as a kid, everybody was so more informed about the world about them. I was like Lismilla on the little dysfunctional house on the prairie. My sisters have a different perspective. Well, I was not functioning, so I'll just keep the focus on myself, apply these traditions. I just remembered as a kid, yeah, they would be talking about some maybe word, some cultural thing that I didn't know because, God bless my mom, I wasn't raised with the culture at the time. I was raised in the golden age of Hollywood. Ask me anything about movies from the 1940s through the 1950s, I'll know it because my mom, that's all we grew up and watched. So when there were cultural, anything to do with pop culture or anything to do with modern times, I was out of the loop. So I always got in this habit of just pretending I knew and I had no idea. And when you use that as a default setting for most of your life, it keeps you in a perpetual state of fear of being afraid to say that you don't know what it means or you don't know what it is, and acting as if you know and you understand. And it wasn't until mucho años later, when I got into recovery, that I learned to be comfortable with saying, I don't know, or asking, can you explain that? Or I'm not sure what that means. still a work in progress with that.
Anyway, so that's what happens. I think I always have the answer to everything. And this is what my sponsor called that big-shot-ism. I have the answer to one thing, and then I think I now can apply it in everything else, and that's not the way that life works. And I like to just, of course, like I love to help people, but I love this idea of Tradition 6 is about this concept of bankrupt idealists.
So what does that mean? Bankrupt idealists. Let's look it up. I'm all about looking up words that I'm overly familiar with, though I'm not that familiar with an idealist, really. But anyway, bankrupt. I love this. This is like dictionary.com, entry number 2. A person who is lacking in a particular thing or quality. Okay? That's bankrupt. Idealist. A visionary or impractical person. I'm laughing because I'm laughing at myself here, okay? A visionary or impractical person, a person who represents things as they might or should be rather than as they are. Hello, that is me. Can you raise your hand? Anybody relate? Can I get a hell yeah? Oh my gosh, this is me. Can't transmit what I haven't got. Become the change you wish to see. I can't go pointing the finger at someone else and being the great know-it-all when I'm actually not practicing it myself, and then actually taking a step back and recognizing that I'm looking at it through my eyes, hearing it with my ears, and processing it through this Willy Wonka chocolate factory of a brain. Oompa loompa doompa. Hello, that's me. And I just have to throw a tangent in here because I have to, because right now, if you could see me, I'm holding my iPhone, reading these dictionary definitions, got a pillow on my lap with my laptop on my lap and my chihuahua laying in front of me. Chihuahuas don't make great recording partners, by the way. I just look how he's just lying here doing his dang old doggy thing. And I'm trying to finish recording this podcast. So that's why this recording sounds tinny and not. Yeah, Chihuahuas as podcast partners. What do you think, Tito?
I don't like it. Where is my chicken, woman?
Okay.
Where am I putting my pride, that prestige, my property, that idea of this person belongs to me, this relationship belongs to me, this is my problem, that owning, something like that. And then money, where am I using money to solve my problems or other people's problems? So it's telling me like, step aside. I give freely, but I check my motives before I give freely. Later on in the 12 and 12, it talks about not being all things to all people. And then it says, nor should we try, because it is a recipe for frustration, despair, pain, and disappointment. And the reality is for me is that there will always be disappointments and upsets because A, I'm human. Wow, last I checked, so are you, so is my fiance. You'll hear that term, right? People pleasing. My old sponsor used to say to me, Lismilla, no people were ever pleased by you. And I was like, she's right. I always did things for motives. That's where this idea, bankrupt idealists, I have an idea of how my relationship should be, how my life should be. I have to humble myself to realize that I have to fill my own well up. So then I have the capacity to actually have that like inner resources and inner wealth to really be of service and share what it is I know and not think that I have the solution for everything. And that's where it says here, perfectionist failing at perfection. Procrastination leads to perfection, leads to paralysis. So perfectionism doesn't allow my humanism, my ability to relax. And again, going back to tradition 2, realizing that everybody's just doing their best and that I'm doing my best too. So I don't have to thump my brand of whatever the answer is that I have, that I think in my head will actually work for you and be perfect for you. So
Tradition 6 helps me to keep me right size and to check my motives and to really ask, once we say this, is this something that someone can do on their own? If someone's coming to me for money, I may really want to help, but I may be doing a harm to my relationship and a harm to myself. So I have to really check, is this another way? If this person's asking me for help or asking me, I can do my best, but I can't be the be all end all to that person, because then that person becomes dependent on me. If I start to be all things to all people and think because I have the answer to one thing, I have the answer to a whole bunch of other things, I'm going to be that child of chaos again. I'm just stepping out of responsibility and role that I play in this relationship, whatever that relationship is. So tradition 6 really helps me to pause and to check my motives and to make sure that prestige does not come from a place of pride. Property, it's not coming from that place of the ego, thinking, well, I have this for you and I can do this and I think you need this. And then that money. And that money to me also, when I look, expanded out a bit into a spiritual framework, that wealth of knowledge and information, like I know, I have it, I have all your answers. I'll always end up curled in the fetal position when I cross those lines and play God, really, in my relationships. And oh my God, we're halfway through. How y'all doing? I forgot to even ask you guys. How are y'all doing? Guys, gals, everyone. How y'all doing with this? Let me know. Lost my train of thought. This is what happens. Holy moly. How you guys keep up with me is amazing. I can't keep up with my brain. So tradition 6, it's like the framework from which the concepts come out of and spring out of, where it says, lest problems of money, property, and prestige divert us from our primary purpose. And I love that. This is a great way to apply tradition 6. Again, that checking my motives. What's my primary purpose here? But that problems of money, property, and prestige is what gets tackled in the concepts. It's how to use power appropriately and learn how to be real effective leaders in our relationship. Lead, be an example without going into dominating, overpowering, or being a wallflower and not actually stepping up. I'm going to stop there because that's kind of getting on a tangent. Way off track there. It's like, oh, look at that restaurant. Looks great. We just sat down, had a coffee. Americans will relate to this one. We went in the diner and we saw all the desserts spinning around, and I'm just there a half hour later deciding still, do I want the cheesecake or do I want that amazing looking apple pie, or do I get both? But maybe I want the milkshake. That's what happened. I'm going to move myself away from the dessert rack back onto tradition 6 and not into the concepts. We'll get to the concepts when we get to the concepts, but this is the jumping off place, at least for me. Yeah, that's tradition 6. I hope I've made sense with that one. Just remember to check your motives, check your wallet, and pause. In program, we'll say pause when agitated or doubtful, or just pause. For those that are in the mindfulness realm, right? That being mindful, it's just taking a second, asking myself, what's my motives here? What's my primary purpose here? And don't be the big shot, deep, dee 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 dee, singing off tune, dee dee. Yeah. That's me. All right, everyone. Have a wonderful next few days. I've noticed I keep putting them up every 4 days, so I will continue to try to do that. When we get to the concepts, it might be a little more time in between. It takes me minutes to record this and flipping hours to edit. And I'm sure there's shortcuts to doing this editing thing. I just haven't quite got there yet. Give me a few years and I'll get there. All right. Thanks so much, all. Have a wonderful, wonderful day wherever you may be. And that ends another round, ding, 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 of the traditions. Brought to you by Lusmila. Thank you all. Please, for the love of all that's sacred, subscribe, share, comment, review. I even left my own review. That's how geeky and cheeky I am. So review, like, comment, share, subscribe, and we'll see you all next time. Oh, and check out my link tree. It's got some other stuff. And once we do the traditions and concepts, there'll be a whole host of other things. Do you know how hard it is to just talk into a round black ball and look at a computer screen of your own voice moving? Really weird. Ugh, I don't know how I'm doing this. Anyway.